Good evening. Thank you for joining me. I am Cody here with Battle Lines, and I have a very special guest today. We have Joe Collins. Joe Collins just came out of a race in California, and we are going to be talking about a lot of different things that have been going on. Well, Joe, thank you for being here. Thank you for making time. I know you're a very, very busy person. So tell us a little bit about yourself. That way, people that don't know you, what got you to run for Congress? I know the first time around you ran against Maxine Waters, and that's when I first met you. And this time around, you ran against Ted Lieu, was
Ted
it?
Lieu,
Or
yes.
yes, okay.
Yeah.
So let us get to know you a little bit. I know you're a Navy veteran. What got you to run? And let's get into
Yeah.
that first.
Yeah, I'm a U.S. Navy veteran. I served 13 and a half years in the United States Navy. I got out the military to get involved in politics. It's crazy that people in the military, we fight for our country, we fight, and they tell us that we're fighting for the rights of the people who live here, and we're fighting for freedom. And then when we come back home, there is no freedom, and your rights are being taken away every single day. Got out of the military, decided to run for Congress. The first election cycle was the 2020 election cycle. I ran against the infamous Maxine Waters. I didn't do it for clout. I did it because I really don't like Maxine Waters. Getting out of the military, I didn't have my benefits. I was a homeless veteran, and I was going to her office to get her to help me get my benefits from the VA, and she wouldn't help me. And so, got pulled in by a guy from Trump's administration. They put some people around me, showed me how to raise money, showed me how to campaign, and then they told me, go run where you're from. And I'm from South Central Los Angeles. And that's where Maxine has been a legislator at for the last 47 years. And so, I took my shot running against Maxine Waters. We ran a really, really great race. We got, outstanding results. We raised over $10.6 million. We've registered over 50,000 Republicans in that district alone. We got over 80,000 votes in a district that only had 14,000 Republicans, and we made a huge name for ourselves. This past election cycle, ran against Ted Lieu. It was a pretty interesting race. We got redistricted from Maxine Waters' district. They took it and split it up, and so all the Republicans ended up on the left side, and all the Democrats were in the district on the right. And so, ran against Ted Lieu again. We did a really good job. However, California is really tough to run as a Republican in
Mm.
California. It's really tough to get the support or to get people to come out and actually work for the same things that they complain about. So we took another L, and what we have going on right now. I mean, it's up in the air. I was recently accepted to the Council on Foreign Relations, so that's always a good thing. We'll be back and forth from Washington D.C. politically. Where my career goes now, I have some ideas, but for now, it's kind of up in the air.
Yeah, and it's I was really interested in when I first saw you when you were running against Maxine Waters, because you're not just a mouthpiece political candidate. You are somebody that gets involved. You're grassroots, and you roll up your sleeves and you do the work. You clean up your community. So those are the type of people that we need in office. And I have always told you, we need you in DC. We need you involved in the whole legislative, up there in DC, cleaning it up, because that's basically what we need representing us. These people that are in office right now, there's a lot of establishment. I was very interested in your race, and I was willing to go help you along with other candidates, because in my area, I didn't see anybody that I wanted to help. Unfortunately, I would rather go help somebody that I know is going to make a difference for the conservative movement and for veterans. So the reason I there's a lot of reasons why I wanted to invite you, because you, like I said, I admire your work. But you have been talking a lot in LinkedIn, is where I have you, and I get to see you, the stuff that you put out. So you've
Yeah,
been calling out the establishment lately. What is going on there?
yeah.
I want you to enlighten us with that.
The thing about the establishment is, the establishment and establishment organizations are not who a lot of people think they are. For the last 4 years, I've been extremely silent about the things that has been going on. I get dogged a lot by a lot of people who are nothing but conservative mouthpieces in a movement. They have gotten involved in literally anything. but I've done work for the Republican Party. I've done so much for the Republican Party, not only in California, but across the entire United States. And when you expect these people to help you, or you sign a contract or whatnot for these people to help you, they literally, you know, they don't respect the contract. And they'll still talk bad about you, and they'll never support you. And that's, and a lot of black candidates and probably Latino, Hispanic candidates feel the same way. They tell you, oh, well, the party is going to do this and the party is doing all of these great things, but when it comes down to running, the party doesn't do anything for a lot of us candidates, and I think it's extremely shameful.
I think that what I saw here in my area, the party did pour in a lot of money to two candidates,
Hmm.
but there were the candidates that were going to serve as their vote, as their puppets. They were already going to vote their way and not the way of the people, not the America First. Or, I mean, they way before they came into office, they were already like chiming in about amnesty. They were pro amnesty. That is not something that conservatives look for
Hmm.
in their representative. So they did put a lot of money into the Hispanic, candidates down here. But then again, we're all Hispanics down here. You've been to this area and you saw the way it is here. And they lost. They flipped the seat in the special election and they lost it in the general election. And that was the
Yep.
one with Mayor Flores. We knew that was going to happen because it's a very blue area, and you know she really was very, very inexperienced, and it was all about the establishment. And we won the district where I'm from Congressional District 15, with Monica de la Cruz. But she was endorsed by Kevin McCarthy. She was endorsed by Dan Crenshaw. She was
Hmm.
endorsed by Tony what is it, Gonzalez, and even Trump. But she's already chiming in for amnesty, and it's not the type of candidate that really, really represents the true conservative values.
See, here's the problem with that. When the GOP makes their picks on which candidates they're going to support, they make their picks based on the races that they think that's easier, the races where they have the candidates where they can control. They don't endorse the races where you have a person who is from an area and that is Democrat, and they became Republican and they want to run where they're from to improve their own community. They don't endorse those people. When you look at the demographics on the map, right? And I'll give you an example. Los Angeles County has 11 million people in the county. 2 million of those people are Republican. The rest are either independents or Democrats. Yet the Republicans will not go into that area because they said, well, it's a high blue area. The possibility of winning in these areas are extremely low. I went into the area not with no Republican support, and we registered 50,000 people. We took the district that I was in from a 54 to a 23 without the Republican Party's help. So it's telling me that the Republican Party, they're either playing a game or they're extremely lazy.
Yeah, and that's what it's lazy. They don't want to do the work. They don't want to do the footwork. And to me, is when Monica ran in 2020, she lost, but they redistricted and they made it more red, her area. So they started, investing more into that because they knew they were going to win it. And not by the South Texas, because the border remained blue. They didn't change that. We're still blue, but they focused on the north side of the district, which is, the San Antonio area, the ranches and all that. But to me, and I'm with you, I don't feel that the GOP wants to waste their time, their resources, their money going into the communities that really need representation for the people.
Yeah, it's gonna bite them in the long run because you see the wins that we have, they're temporary wins.
Hmm.
They're not permanent wins. They're not places where they're actually going in and making an impact. These are places that, these are rural American places where the population is extremely low and the majority of the people are already Republicans. Those are the places that you're gonna win if you have a great message. But the place that you need work are these blue areas that have high populations of people. Those are the areas that need the strong Republican presence. Those are the areas that people need to get out. And I think it's extremely shameful that Kevin McCarthy would go to endorse somebody from a totally different state without even helping out the candidates in his own state.
Hmm. Yeah, because he is from California. He should be working in getting California with more representation from the conservative side. I
Yep,
mean
but
that,
he
and
he
that's the
doesn't
way.
do it though.
No, they have lost California completely. That's the way I see it, and it's a shame. And I do believe that we need to keep fighting, but how do you fight against all that money? Because the way I see it now, and it's very hard and it's very sad because I voted, but I did not vote for my Republican candidate. I did not vote for the Democrat candidate either. I just threw away my vote into the Libertarian because if
Hmm.
I don't vote, I don't have a voice and I don't get to complain. I want to at least complain. So yeah, I mean, I get to hold her accountable, but I wasn't gonna vote for somebody that I know stands for things that I'm against. Like I keep saying, amnesty. I just became a citizen. I was Mexican born, and I came to the United States. We were here legally, so I don't see why people that have been here for a long time and have had the opportunity to make things right are just waiting for the system to take care of it for them. So
Hmm.
to me, it's like we shouldn't be rewarding illegal activity, and so I don't believe in that. So I wasn't going to vote for her. So I see that they keep putting money into candidates that truly do not represent the Republican values or the Republican standards. But how do you fight against that money that is being poured into them?
Well, I think that that's their picks. They're going to do whatever they can to win over the easy seats, and there's really nothing that we can do about that. Like we have to start focusing on the places where we live, the communities where we live, and start putting our all into there. What a more important question is than how you fight the money is how do you get the people that live in these communities that are Republican or that do want to change these communities for the better activated so they can get out and start participating in what it takes to make the change.
Yeah, and that's one of the things I started doing more locally. I last year I believe is when I started getting more locally involved with the commissioners, the mayors, and things like that. And I think that we do need to get more involved locally. That way, the people can be interested, and once they get locally involved, that moves up to state and federal.
Hmm.
How have you gotten people involved in your area? Because I know that you have actually, I mean, you created an amazing team.
Hmm. Yeah, it was just for us. We didn't base our campaign around being a Republican.
Mm.
Even a lot of times people want to push a lot of Republican talking points, and it's like we're in California. That doesn't work. We have to stick to things that people care about, and we have to come up with solutions. We can't just talk and expect people to get emotionally driven and be on our side based on the things that we say. I mean, like this game in California is like show and prove as much as you can while fighting liberals and while fighting people who are on the far right who think they have the most superior opinion. So just getting away from things political and focusing on what people want is how we able to continue to have amazing volunteers, how we continue to how we are able to continue to stay in the streets.
And it's very interesting that you say that because the two mayors that I helped, even though local politics are supposed to be nonpartisan, people still want to know, are you a Republican or are you a Democrat? What these two mayors did is they kept their race as nonpartisan. It's like it doesn't matter. We're locally. I'm still going to
Hmm.
represent the Republicans and the Democrats, but this is the problems that we have in this city. So they went in tackling the issues that are within the city,
Hmm.
within the community. And I think, and I was talking to Bianca the other day, and I I see myself voting more as to who's going to do for the community, who's going to do for my state, who's going to actually do the work and has done the work and has a track record. So people have to earn my vote in order for them to vote. Just because
Yeah.
you ran last cycle and you did the work, it doesn't mean that you automatically get my vote.
Hmm.
Again, we go into how I voted. I didn't vote for Abbott. I didn't vote for Beto either. But I mean, Abbott is just a broken election mode governor. That's what he is. He hasn't done anything. Him sending the illegal aliens further into the country is just hurting our country because that's what the cartels are selling on. Oh, you cross over and they automatically send you in further in. And he really didn't do anything. He, within those years that he has been until he is running again his race, that's when he starts, creating the photo op.
Hmm. But then again, like he's just copying off everything DeSantis is doing.
Hmm.
So it's not like any of the ideas are original. Even when it comes to politicians, we have so many politicians that are aged, that are still sitting in positions, legislative positions for 10, 15, 20, 30, 40, in Joe Biden's case, 50 years. And it's time for them to go, both Democrat and Republican. Even if we have independent legislators and they're extremely aged, they need to go. We need a whole new set of young politicians to come in office that really want to work for the people and who can really put the political party differences aside to work together.
Yeah, and I do believe that we need to put term limits. Are you
Definitely
for
need term
term
limits.
limits, or you are?
Oh yeah, yeah. I'm definitely for term limits. We need term limits so bad right now. It's ridiculous. I mean, Nancy Pelosi stepped down as Speaker of the House and said she's not going to run for any other leadership positions. And now everybody's saying, "Oh, well, she's paving the way for young people." She's 82 years old. That way she's paved got grass in it now. She got grass in her pavement. That's how old she is. She should have been gone. 30
Mhm.
years in Congress. She's past her expiration date.
And there's so many like that. You have Chuck Schumer, you have McConnell has been there for a long time as
Hmm.
well. So I do believe that it's time that we have term limits. And I don't know if you heard, I'm sure you heard the speech of, President Trump, and that's something that he did express. He started talking about the term limits.
Yep. And a lot of times when I hear a politician talk, it's just talk. But when those guys can actually do what they said they're gonna do, then I get excited. Even with Donald Trump, with me, it's 50-50. I like his policies, but he did say he was gonna put Hillary Clinton in jail, and she ain't in jail yet. So, how true is the things that he says that he's gonna do? When
Hmm.
it comes to the economy, I believe he's going to put a lot of great things back in place if he becomes the president of the United States. But for right now, 50-50. It's up in the air.
It's up in the air for you.
Yep. Hmm.
The way I see it right now is he, like I said, there's things that I don't agree with him, and there's things that I do strongly agree with him. I mean, the border situation, our border patrol are the morale is very low. When he was president, they had the support, they had the backup like they've never ever had it. So I mean, and that's just by enforcing the laws and supporting them. So I do believe we still need him because of that and the economy. He did great things, and our country became respected again. There was no wars under Trump. If you look at it, what I didn't like about his presidency is that we didn't drain the swamp. That's
Hmm.
the biggest thing for me. That he still endorsed people that he shouldn't have endorsed this last primaries, and that hurt Texas. It really hurt Texas. We had great candidates for governor, running against Abbott. We had Don Hoffhines and Alan West
Hmm.
and Chad Prather, which anybody would have been better than Abbott. But his endorsement for Abbott really sealed Abbott's thing, because a lot of people that are not well educated, because they don't have the time in researching the candidates because of work, kids, or whatever, they see the endorsements and that's what they vote for.
Yeah. Well, also you gotta hear these people on a regular basis. If you're a candidate, you gotta constantly be in people's ears on their cell
Mhm.
phones, on their TVs, and just a lot of candidates don't have the wherewithal to make that happen. Unfortunately, I know when we were in our campaign, the first time we were in people's phones, we had the advertisements running all over the internet. We had the advertising on TV, on the radio, and so you heard us. You knew who, Team Collins was when we walked around the city. But you got a lot of candidates, although they're popular in some areas. When it comes to the entire state, I mean, you almost need to travel 24/7 up and down the state with like six buses with your picture on it that says vote for this guy.
Hmm. Yeah, and you know how big Texas is. And I know that a lot of people in South Texas didn't know about Don Hopkins. They didn't know about
Hmm.
him. So when I would go and talk about Don, they were like, they had no idea. And it was sad because he could have done a lot, but he didn't get around a lot because I think he focused too much on North Texas, or it just didn't come through.
Yeah, yeah, for the most part. That's unfortunate. Hopefully, these candidates make another run at it because we definitely need some new flavor, some new blood up in the offices here in America, especially Texas.
Yes, and I do believe also that there needs to be term limits and a governor also
Hmm.
at a governor level, because it's just I don't know. It's This man is just not good. But then again, he might run for president. That's what he's looking for.
America. So here's the deal. America has an image to keep up. They're not gonna let um, an old white guy in a wheelchair become the president of the United States. I'm so I cannot see that happening, and I don't think that Greg Abbott would have the stamina to be able to run for president of the United States, to travel from state to state to state with his condition. It's
Mhm.
not a hit against people with deformities or some type of handicap. He just not going to have the stamina to make it.
Yeah, it's a lot of energy, and I don't I mean, if he runs for governor, I mean for president, which I know he wants to, he's not going to make it. I don't think that it's going to be something that he's going to see through.
Yeah,
Uh,
he's gonna bow out like Kamala Harris did before the end of the primaries.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I see. That's what I see. So, what do you did you see anything? Let's talk about Arizona. What's going on in Arizona right now? And that's like a whole repeat of 2020. That's what it feels
Mhm.
like. We're reliving it, and there has been so much things going on with the ballots, with the voting fraud. Not only in Arizona, but we see it in Pennsylvania. We saw it in Nevada. So, what do you think? What I mean, you have been so involved in your election and throughout the country.
We just got to get rid of those mass mailing ballots. I think that you should only get a ballot if you request one, and you have to make a concerted effort to go vote. I think those are the biggest things. As far as these voting machines, I'm not understanding how is it that it's so hard to open up a bank account, but so easy to vote. We need double verification IDs for voting, and you need to be able to request a ballot. And I think there should be some type of way we can vote digitally from your cell phone. Everybody who registers to vote, you get a one-time link so you can vote, and those votes are tracked in real time. I don't see why that's so hard to do. They do it with bank accounts. They got the digital fingerprints for the bank accounts. They do it for literally everything else except for voting. Those mail-in ballots have been causing a problem, and this isn't new. It's been going on since the 90s. You look at George Bush and Al Gore, how the mail-in ballots in Florida
Mhm.
affected that election plenty of times. And so you think that these politicians who are so smart will come up with ways to ensure that our election process is more secure, and the only people that are voting are people that are qualified within the constitution or the state constitution standards to vote. But that's not happening. Arizona's a mess. California's a mess. Almost every single state on the West Coast, or that's ran by a Democrat governor, is a mess, and they cheat a lot.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm so surprised that they left that, what is it, Katie Hobbs in Arizona, like still in charge of the election. That's a huge conflict of interest for her
It
to be in
is.
charge of it if she's running for governor.
And then magically she came ahead and she won.
Yeah,
Magically. But
magically.
she's over the election process. But I mean, these are questions that we'll never get the answers to. After a couple of years, it'll be swept under the rug, and nobody even be talking about it unless they bring it up in passing or in conversation where they use it as an example. Nobody's gonna do anything about these elections. People
No,
are all talk.
and I see other countries and they take care of it in within a day. Like they have the winners, like President Trump said France does. Mexico has a national holiday where nobody goes to work. They don't even sell alcohol the day of the election. So everybody
Hmm.
has to go vote, and all the liquor stores, and there's no beer being sold that day. So everybody can go vote. So there's something that needs to be done, but will it get done? I don't think it's gonna get done. Like a lot of things haven't been done. So I
Yeah.
think it's like you said, it's gonna be swept under the rug. And then we have the runoff in Georgia with Herschel Walker. And I'm already being told that they're gonna take that one too, that we're not gonna get Herschel Walker in office.
if Herschel Walker loses, it's not because they stole that election. It's just because people are not going to vote for Herschel Walker. Unfortunately, in my opinion, he's a terrible candidate.
Mm-hmm.
It's just what it is. I don't care if Trump endorsed him. I don't care if he is a Republican. He's a terrible candidate. You look at his life in itself, and what he's been talking about when he get on a public stage is a mess. His son came out and dogged him extremely bad, and people started looking into it, and basically almost everything he said was a lie. He said that he never paid for any abortion. That was a lie. He paid for two abortions, gave the ladies checks and cards. Then he said he didn't know who the ladies were who had his kids. And then come to find out his wife had been texting these ladies for the last 10 years or so. And then he said he was a sheriff. He was a volunteer cop. He wasn't like actually on the police force. I mean, if you had to make up your lie, he'd be doing perfect. The fact of the matter is, we don't need any more lying politicians in office. We need somebody who's going to be transparent. If you pay for an abortion and you're anti-abortion now, don't even say pro-life, because you can't say I'm pro-life, but I also support the death penalty and I support going to war with other countries where people inherently are going to die because of war. But just, you're anti-abortion now because of what happened to you in your past. Just be that. You don't have to fake it. Just so you don't get booed by a bunch of Republicans or conservatives. We need politicians that are going to be transparent and politicians that are going to be honest. Not even politicians, men who are going to be in legislative positions, to be honest. So
And that's the
I don't.
thing. I mean, people change after life experiences. I mean, we are people.
Mhm.
We evolve after something happens. Like to me, I would never have an abortion. I always knew
Yeah.
that I would never have an abortion because to me, killing a baby was wrong. But what another person did, that was that person. That didn't involve me. That was my thinking before. When my daughter was born, she was born at 7 months. So when I would go to the NIC unit, I would see all these babies fighting for their lives. They were trying to
Hmm.
breathe under machines, and you see the vulnerability of these babies. So that's what totally changed me and made me, anti-abortion, pro-life. So that's the thing that changed my life in that stance. So it's like you say, if you at one point had an abortion or had a woman have an abortion and that
Hmm.
changed your life, I mean, you have to own up the things that help you evolve and make you change. And yes, it was the wrong thing to do, but now it made you a better person, unfortunately, through this experience.
Hmm. Even then, I think that people who want to be in legislative positions, we have to stop legislating from our own opinions, and we have to start legislating from the opinions of the people who we plan on representing, and that includes Democrats, Republicans, Independents, and everybody else who are in your jurisdiction, right? And so, one of the biggest problems with abortion is because you can't legislate anybody's moral compass. If people feel like it's right, fine. If people feel like it's wrong, fine. However, if people want to get an abortion, they should pay for it by themselves. It should never be any type of taxpayer funded abortion, because if you get an abortion, that's going to be between you and God once you make it to heaven, if that's where you're going to end up. But to put that burden on every single taxpayer, every single person in the United States, it's wrong. It's wrong, period. Because you made the mistake, pay for your mistake. You get with whoever you made that mistake with, or whoever you made that child with, and you guys sit down and talk about it, and you make the best decisions for you. And at the end of the day, I don't have to agree with your decision, and I don't have to pay for it either.
Hmm. Now let's talk about you're talking about responsibility and paying for your own things. The loan forgiveness, the school loan
Hmm.
forgiveness. You went to the military. That's how you got your school paid for,
Yeah.
and we have all these people that are getting their loan forgiveness, but it didn't go through from what I heard or something like that.
Yeah, the federal court stopped it, and they
Hmm.
said the same thing everybody else been saying. You're not going to use our tax dollars to pay for somebody else's debt. If that's the case, you might as well get tax dollars to pay everybody credit card debt, pay everybody housing debt, pay everybody automobile debt. But that's not the case. They were literally buying votes this last election cycle, and what they were doing was extremely wrong. You can't use people tax dollars as an avenue to gain support from people who you want to vote for you. And they said, well, everybody 18 to 29 voted Democrat. Well, you lied to them and told them that you were going to get some of their college debt paid for. And then you even lied on that aspect and didn't say it was just federal grants. There's a lot of people who have private loans that they pulled out or private credit card debts they pulled out to pay for their college. You're not paying that stuff. But
Mhm.
I mean, God bless the federal court judge who said, nope, that's wrong because God forbid we keep paying for everybody else's debt. I'm not even saying college is a mistake, but the majority of the time people go to college for degrees they don't even have a career in today. Like I have a degree in accounting, and although I got mine paid for by the contract that I signed with the military, I own a government contracting company. I don't do accounting.
So it's just it looks nice on your wall though.
It looks good.
It
I can
looks
brag
good.
about it. I got a degree, so.
You see, I don't have a degree. I joined the workforce and I did want to go
Mhm.
to college and I just pushed it away and pushed it away and I never got to it. But I don't see why I should pay for somebody's degree or
And
anybody
you
should pay
shouldn't.
for it. That's a choice. That's your choice. If you want to go to college, it's a choice you have to take and there's sacrifices you have to take. And nobody should
Yep.
pay, for that. Nobody should sacrifice themselves for you to do what you want to do.
Yeah,
So
that's absolutely true. I have a lot of people that try to argue me about that point. Well, black women have the most college debt and they can't buy a house or build wealth because, they went to college to get a degree because they were told they were going to, be able to take that degree and get a good job and good career, yada, yada, yada. And then at the end of the day, I'm still like, okay, so how is that my problem? Because it's still a personal choice. You don't have to do it. It's something that you chose to do. It's not mandated by the federal government. Go to college like it is in grade school, K through 18. I mean, K through 12. It's not the same.
yeah, and I've been told when I was talking to somebody on the podcast that okay, so why should we pay for their schooling from K to 12?
Hmm.
It's like why can't we just go ahead and pay for everything, like for university? And I go because the university is that's part of the choice. That's part of what you want to do for a living and what you
Yep.
decide to. It's just different. So, what
That's
are your
true.
plans? Do you have any more
um,
plans in getting involved and trying to do, what are you going to do now that you're not running?
right now, I'm gonna take a vacation, and once I get off vacation,
Mhm.
get back to running my business. And I got accepted to the Council on Foreign Relations, so I'm gonna see what they're gonna have me doing or where I'm gonna be at as far as that. And then I don't know. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see.
Mhm.
I don't have anything concrete or solid, but I know I have an idea of what I want to do, but I ain't gonna share it.
But you're going to remain involved in politics and trying to make this better, this country better, this community, your community, California, and wherever the road takes you.
Remaining
Just,
politically active, I have
mhm.
no idea. I think one thing that I would like to do is I would like to train candidates on how to run, how to raise money, how to, be a public figure, how to accept a lifestyle in the public eye, and how to deal with it, how not to get screwed over by organizations like the NRCC and the RNC. So I think that's something that I'll consider getting heavily actively involved because I'm tired of candidates not getting the support that they need because the RNC has their picks. Tired of people getting ignored because people have their picks. And in my situation, I swapped 200,000 names with the NRCC, and they were supposed to give me access to their database with 200,000 names, and I never got that. So they're making money off the work that I've already put in, but they not giving me anything back. I didn't get to be on the Young Guns program. I've never got a meeting with Kevin McCarthy. I've never got an endorsement. I never even spoke to the dude, and I've been in California running for office for 4 years. I've never I spoke to people from the NRCC, but I've never gotten their support either. So the whole entire deal is shady, and I'm gonna make sure everybody knows. So if you run as a Republican, run independently as a Republican, and not rely on anybody except for the hard work that you put in for yourself, because nobody can take that away from you.
Yeah, and I think that is something that is needed because a lot of us, and I say us because I mean I did run, a small, for a small office, but we get in not knowing what to do. I didn't know what to do. I just joined because, the reason I ran was because no, the people that were running were not returning my calls. After
Hmm.
like I had questions, and I was like, well, if they're not returning my calls now, what makes me think that they're going to return my calls when they're in office? So I decided to
Exactly.
run against them.
Yeah,
So,
that's true.
but yes, I
Returning phone
mean,
calls are important, believe it or not.
yes, yes, and what I wanted to do actually, I wanted to give him a, you know, I had a podcast, a local podcast, and I wanted to give him a chance to come and talk and answer questions. And I myself had questions. The mayors did answer me and did give me, time, but this guys didn't, the city commissioners. So that's why I decided
Hmm.
to run. But I mean, luckily I had Bianca and the organization kind of guide me, but
Hmm.
we don't know what to do. And it's once you put your name on that ballot, everything changes. You start
That's
your
true.
whole life, your balancing of life, your personal life, and your campaign. You have no more personal life. Everything is out there,
Yeah,
and a lot of people
that's
do
true.
not know how to deal with it. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's the way the cookie crumbles.
So if I ever decide to run for office again, I will be calling you so you can help me on how to
All right,
do
that's
it.
cool. That's cool. That's
Inshallah.
cool. One of the worst thing about running for office is when you get on the news, you become a major target for literally everybody. Everybody think they knows everything about you. People misinterpret the information that you have out there. They'll take videos, chop them up, and try to make you out to something that you're not. And it's once you get on TV, it's it. That's over with. Once you raise a lot of money, that's over with as well. So
Yeah.
be careful what you ask for.
Yeah, I mean, once, yeah, you become a target. I remember when I was doing like little forums around here, stuff that I did in New York or in DC was being put on the chat. Like I was being
Hmm.
called a white supremacist. I was being called a Nazi and this, and it was all this stuff about, and Antifa, and it was coming out, and it
Uh-huh.
was local. I mean, nobody cared about that here locally or asking about that. It was the city
Exactly.
commissioner, office. So yeah, a
Yeah.
lot of things come out, and a lot of things get flipped around, and they make you try to look the worst than what you really are. But
Yeah.
that's the life of the public eye, but it's very interesting how everything changes and how a person is able to carry themselves through it all. And
Yeah,
that's
that's
the,
true.
the biggest outtake, because and you see how a person also changes and their head grows, and they try to just push the people away. And yeah, there's a lot of things that go on. And I've been very fortunate, I think, with Latinos for Trump and Latinos for America First, in getting to know candidates away from the
Hmm.
cameras, away from the people, and knowing what they really stand for. And I can see
Yeah.
you, and you're the same whether you are on or off the camera. And very few
I
people are like that.
I try to be. I don't like switching up. That's why everybody went from super MAGA to super Christian, and I'm just like, you guys weren't that like you switching up based
Mm.
on what's popular. So I feel like if you be real with yourself, you don't got to switch up. You can be MAGA, you can be a Christian, you can be yourself, and everything should be great. But when you start going from over here to over here to over here to over here, I think that's when you have a lot of problems. So I don't know. I'm from the for the people. I've always been community first because I grew up in South Central Los Angeles, and we need a lot of leadership in that community. And I see a lot of communities like mine across the United States, and so I mean, I always want to be for the people. I love putting political party aside and
Mm.
running based on what's important or what people want.
And one of the things that I've noticed with you, and like I said, when I talk with you off camera, or right now that I have you here, is that you're not afraid to speak the unpopular opinion. Like we were talking about Trump, and even though they call me a Trumper or whatever, you're not afraid to call out the stuff that you don't agree with him. And we do get
Yeah,
attacked. I get attacked all the time when I don't agree with him, and it's like it's not healthy to agree with somebody 100%. You just
true.
can't. So to me, to have those type of conversations with you or with anybody, it's a good conversation to have.
Well, the same thing I'll say to you, I'll say to Donald Trump's face. I mean, I know Donald Trump. I've been to his house. I've been to rallies. I've been to private fundraisers, and with him and his family. And so, I mean, he endorsed me last election cycle, and I kept it real about how I felt, and still maintain a relationship, till now, and I still maintain how I feel. Nobody likes an ass kiss. Nobody likes a person that
Mhm.
agrees with them 100% of the time. People like hanging around people who have their own thoughts and their own ideals. Plus, the people who talk trash about us never met them anyway, so I don't care. I
And
don't.
the thing is that that's how a person grows. When you don't agree with somebody and you talk to them and you tell them what you don't agree with, the person, whether something needs to be fixed, they'll fix it, and if not, I mean, that's who I am. That's who I am, and
Yeah,
it's
that's true.
it's construct what is it called, constructive criticism, and we have that. I
Yeah,
mean, you have it in your workplace. You're supposed to have that everywhere. I do it to my daughter all the time, and I tell her when she's wrong and when I don't agree with her, and she doesn't like it, but she has to change it. And it's
yeah.
something that you can't, like I said, 100% agree with somebody. But
Hmm.
I want to thank you so much for being here. I know that you've been on the road and you're like super tired. So thank you so much. We'll cut it short. And if anything you want to say or let us know about you, you have the last word. I'll let you talk.
uh, Thank you for having me on. My website is joecollinsforcongress.com or Joe E. Collins and number three .com. My website is still up. I'll be still adding more policy positions. I'll be updating on what's going on with my life so you guys can stay in touch and maybe get back on the radio and start doing radio with you guys and giving my perspective from a Black Republican from the inner city. I think that goes a long way when it helps people to understand why people from the inner city think the way they do. Um, but outside of that, I'm truly blessed, truly appreciative to be on your platform and to be living and to have a positive future.
Well, thank you again so much for being here. And I look forward to see what the next step of your life is. And you know that you count on our support. We endorsed you in your both of your races because we believe in what you do and the things that you do for your community. So thank you so much
Yeah.
for everything that you do, Joe.
All right. Thank you. God bless. Peace.
Bye bye.